understand me is to really understand my love of questions. Now, I'm not sure if I got that from my dad, who I think if time was on his side would have been marching with Dr. King, but time was on my side, so he got to be my dad. But the thing is, when you love questions, you open up the floodgates for people to just ask you anything. And when people get to ask you anything, you also have to reflect, you have to think. So one of those questions that really made me think was about 3 years ago. I was on a panel entitled The Shades of Racism and Rape, where we were exploring the intersections of racism and sexual violence. The question I got, although very simple, although very straight to the point, had me reflect. And that question was, why do I believe that Black women don't get the resources when we are sexually assaulted, both on the prevention side, in justice, in healing? Now, anyone who knows me knows I do my research, I know the numbers, but that's not what I thought about. What I thought about was me being 12 years old and my dad sitting me down across the couch from him and saying, Cheyenne, I love you so much, but you lost twice. Now, at 12 years old, my dad loved to speak in metaphors and similes. So I was like, please, let's not waste time. I lost twice. What does that mean? He said, you were born both Black and woman, so you lost twice. You're going to have to work twice as hard to be treated half as good as anyone that comes up against you. Now, I'm not sure about anybody else, but that's a tall order for someone that is 12, and I'm 6'2", so it's a really tall order, okay? But I listened and I said, I'm going to be better. What I didn't realize, though, was that his message was not just for my academics. It wasn't just for my career endeavors. When I was sexually assaulted, I didn't think working twice as hard would mean being twice as perfect to being considered a victim. I didn't realize it would mean I'd have to be twice the advocate for myself. I'd have to look twice as helpless to be deserving. I didn't realize how often I was going to be caught in this realm of questions, questioning my own identity. But when I reflected, why would I wonder? At just 6 years old, I remember loving going shopping with my mother. I'm not sure about anybody else, but again, I'm the last of the Mohegans, the last of the millennials. Going to the grocery store was a treat, okay? And my mom would hold my hand, and like any other kid, I would run away. But when she caught me, she would say, Cheyenne, you have to stay with me. You're Black. No one's gonna come looking for you if you go missing. I didn't realize how long I had this internalized feeling of not being worth the fight, not being worth saving. According to the National Center on Violence Against Women in Black Community, around 70% of Black girls will experience some form of unwanted sexual interaction, assault, or violence before they're even 18 years old. I experienced mine before I was even 18 years old. When you read literature such as Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy, you can see the outline of how our intersections of slavery and white supremacy and institutional oppressions impact how we look at Black bodies. So when I received that question, why do you feel Black women don't have the resources? My answer was simple. When did we? From the moment we started and decided we were going to partake in the transatlantic slave trade, that is when we decided which bodies were worth saving. Black bodies were used for breeding. They were used for entertainment. They were used for experiments. They were used for labor. And now in 2023, we want to ask, how can we help you? Well, my question to the audience is, when are we ready to admit our own biases? Sal, even myself, I had to do a lot of unlearning and unpacking because I don't believe that I have to be twice as helpless to be saved. I believe that the beauty of my existence is enough. And I believe that every body, every human, every person deserves to get the help that they need. But we ask those who are the most vulnerable, we ask those who are in the margins to be their own advocates without admitting the institutional oppressions that make us susceptible. We've all heard it. Black women are just so strong. I've heard it even in my work. You're so strong, you're so courageous for what you're doing. But when have you ever asked why? When have we ever stepped back and said, Why is it that some people have to be strong? And when are we going to admit that it's time to dismantle the systems that make me and so many others have to be strong? When are we going to unpack the biases that allow sexual violence, abuse, violence to keep consuming so many around us? At the end of the day, we are all willing to be protected. But until we take those moments, until we take those steps, until we sit back and really consider the grocery store trips with our parents, or the laughing we did with our friends, or the literature that we read, to really understand the narratives we've been consuming, to really understand the lives that we've been living. I believe the conversations we are having when it comes to prevention are simply on the surface. So yes, I love questions. I love the why, but that's because at the end of the day, I love to dig deeper. And I hope that by listening to this, I hope with taking a step back and acknowledging your own biases, you too will take that step to digging a little deeper.